Hello and namaste. My name is Daniela Mihalchak. I'm a yoga instructor based in Cluj-Napoca, Romania. I would like to wish you a warm and heartily welcome to my podcast. The Magic Yoga Podcast is here to inspire you to practice yoga and to get the yoga beyond the mat. I hope you will enjoy to connect with a beautiful community of people and to enjoy this life. The first podcast episode has a special guest. Today we have my super influential yoga teacher, the one who has changed my life. His name is Mukesh Kothari. He is the founder of Bindusar Yoga School, and in this episode he will also share to us how he started the journey of yoga, what yoga means for him, which are the most important skills a yoga teacher must have, because he has trained over 600 yoga teachers in the Eastern Europe. And he will also share about his teaching yoga method. I hope you will enjoy the first episode of this podcast and you will get inspired. Let's enjoy and let's get started. How are you today, Mukesh?
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm good.
I would like to share some words about you. Mukesh was born in Rishikesh, India, in a traditional Hindu family. His father is an Ayurvedic yoga doctor, and his mother is a social activist. And he moved to Budapest. Now he has here a yoga studio. He's the founder of Bindusar Yoga School, and he is married and has 2 daughters. He has trained already over 600 yoga teachers throughout Europe since 2012, and he enjoys teaching and traveling internationally. And Mukesh, we have met about 6 years ago in 2012 when I did a teacher yoga training with you in Bucharest. Can you tell us, please, what yoga is for you?
You see, when you're born in India, it comes very naturally if you are living in a town like this Rishikesh. So, unlike in the West, when people search for yoga because of a specific need, we don't start yoga because of some specific need was there, or I want to heal my back pain or some issue. It's a part of the culture. And slowly it becomes in the life, and it becomes a part of the daily life or the habits. So still it's very difficult to define what exactly in 2 words the yoga for us. But I think being as an Indian and being born in the town of this yoga is something like what we like to enjoy to do every day to awaken the body, mind, and to have the peace at the end of the day.
That would everybody need, I think. And Mukesh, we are very eager to know about your first steps in this yoga journey. Could you share us, how did you start?
You see, as you told, if you've been to Rishikesh and if you walk in that town, you will see that many walls are painting with the kind of the yoga images. With the hand painted, like for example, here the people paint the walls with those colorful things. There they paint normally with the yoga images. So when we walk in the town, we used to see these kind of the physical postures very often, and we wonder how to do it. And then slowly, when I was a young boy, I started yoga with a teacher who lives very close to my house in an ashram. The ashram was called Kripalu Yoga Ashram, and there was a teacher called there's a Vanjula. And me and my younger brother, we used to go to him in the morning. He used to teach the foreigners basically in the garden of this ashram, but we were the 2 Indians whom he also accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And this way we started. So in the beginning, we used to go like in the morning at 7 to 8, and we used to do in the yoga in this grass in the open. Mm-hmm. And slowly, it was an exercise, but it feels good.
Mm. Yeah, good to know that you started since early age, I think, and it became your lifestyle then. So, what yoga means for you? Maybe I asked you, and also what do you think in which time people can feel the benefit of yoga?
You see, what it is not important what yoga means for me, but exactly what does the yoga mean as
Yeah.
per the books. It is a state of the mind where
Mm.
you have no sorrows in your consciousness, where you feel like where you don't have a heaviness or stress or the anxiety in your consciousness in the body or in the mind. So, according to the books of the yoga, yoga is a state where no negative thought can affect your mood. Now, this can be attained through the help of the body, through the help of the breath, or through the help of the mind. On personal level, people define the yoga with so many ways. But in conclusion, those ways are very subjective experience, and normally they are very partial and the half experience of the journey. Because people do a big mistake, they start defining the yoga after 6 months of the practice, or they start defining the yoga after 2 years of the practice. So they define on their subjective experience that yoga is for me because it helps. It's a lifelong journey which I enjoy. But that exactly not a yoga. That's a kind of a temporary state of the emotion. How they define what they are doing. So the self definitions in the yoga are extremely dangerous. So in simple words, that basically whoever will practice yoga for 10-15 years, they will agree that yoga means that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. It is a state of the mind where the mind stop getting distracted from the unwanted thoughts.
Okay, so you want to say the yoga is a state of man's mind. So which changes will yoga bring to a life, to a person?
The changes will depend from the point A, that from where the journey will start. Now, if somebody is living an age of 30 years old and having a stressful life, maybe in the beginning for first 2 or 5 years, yoga will be only help them to calm down, to understand the things, to control the temperament, but which is still not this yoga. It is just the beginning benefits of the yoga, because you can still control the temperament and calm down the things with so many things, so many signs in the life. But yoga is the one of them. Same way, if somebody is a mature, that's 60 years old and they have seen the life enough, they have got the wisdom of the life. So for them, the yoga will have a different kind of the meanings, at least in the beginning of this journey. So the benefits of the yoga depends. Like if somebody comes to yoga for there's a back pain, so for him the total benefit of the yoga is that he should not have the back pain. He's not going to get bothered whether the yoga is going to change his state of mind or not. For him, the pain is the first thing which has to be removed. Yeah. So when he will see the effectiveness of the yoga as it is powerful tool to remove the back pain, then they will have a more confidence and more courage to experiment more things in the yoga for a longer time.
Yes. Okay. True. So the first benefit is the physical one, and then the state of mind. So why do you think the yoga is so meaningful for most of us?
The thing is that yoga is meaningful for that everyone, because we have lost in the world. We don't know exactly what do you want to do. We have some goals which we see that after 1 year these goals are of no use. Then we set the new goals. So that is caused because of the vikshipta state of mind. What is a kind of a distracted state of mind? What we saw on the phone, what we saw on the Facebook, what we see the people doing, we start getting in a habit to copy them. If somebody is basically running each and every morning and she's putting a photo of that run each and every day, most of the people will be motivated to start the journey. But maybe after 6 months they will find that the running is not for us. So what does the yoga does in the beginning? It helps you to have a deep breath, and the more deep and the slow type of the breathing you have more control on the thoughts, and especially the external thoughts that are going to influence you whether you like or not. So therefore the state, whether you practice physical yoga or whether you practice the part of the yoga where we normally concentrate and meditate, the first thing what is going to happen it is going to bring the focus of the mind. And once you have the focus of the mind, the things are much more easy to attain than to having a distracted mind, and we are just trying to do the 10 things in 1 week.
That's true. Yeah, interesting. So Mukesh, you have been working with many types of the students, many types of the bodies. And you are coming now from a place of understanding. So again, can you tell to the listeners how long could it take to witness those changes?
Like the people who have the kind of the physical issues, like they have a back pain or they have a pain in the body, they want to lose the weight, or they want to be much more having a good posture, or they want to have a good level of the energy in the body. It is going to appear within a practice of 4 to 5 months if they practice two times at least on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So the thing is that physical changes can be observed too fast, and if you feel that you don't have those kind of the physical changes coming in you in coming 4 or 5 months, it means either you are not practicing well, or the teacher is not so competent to bring those benefits. The kind of the psychological benefits starts coming from the first week, because the thing is that when you breathe deep, it starts stimulating the psychological changes from the first 30 to 40 minutes. So if somebody will practice yoga with the help of Ujjayi breath, or simply having a deep breath, he can witness that maybe on the first day of the yoga, he is going to have in the night much more deep and much more sound kind of a sleep than having it never in the life before. So the psychological benefits comes first, the physical benefits comes after a certain time. But the most of the people expect physical benefits in the beginning and psychological benefits after some time. So somebody who wants to lose the weight, they can't lose the weight with the help of the yoga in 2 weeks or in 1 month. So therefore, to lose the weight will take 6 to 7 months. But during that journey of that, the thought that where you don't like yourself, being as overweight will not be there, and you will be less bothered with the physical body that we have.
That's optimistic answer to know for all of us. That's from the first week people can enjoy the...
Not from the first week. I think from the first yoga class, the psychological, the changes in the mind will appear.
That's true. Yeah. Good. So, Mukesh, I consider you one of the most respected ambassadors of yoga in Europe. So can you tell us, and can you share please with us more about being a yoga leader in Eastern Europe in last years?
No, I don't consider myself as a yoga leader, because the most contribution is done by the teachers who are teaching locally in this neighborhood. So they are contributing more because they are going to those yoga classes with each and every day, or like 2 or 3 times a week. They are teaching that even if they don't have the enough number of people, they are not earning enough. So I think those teachers who are teaching in the small studios or going to places to teach in the local neighborhood, I think they are the main leaders, because they are still doing when they cannot see the big future in front of them. So they are doing as a kind of a attitude to serve, which is an essential quality to become a kind of a yoga leader. So I don't see myself as this a yoga leader. Those teachers who are teaching in their own cities and towns, I think they are the main kind of the leaders.
Okay, and in which countries did you teach in Europe?
I thought around 8 to 9 countries, like France, Spain, in Italy, Romania, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Macedonia.
Good to have you all over Europe. And let's remember this past year, it was very challenging for all of us. How do you see the role of yoga in these pandemic times?
Sometimes I think that the pandemic was extremely challenging in the most of the ways, but the pandemic has also done a very important thing, a kind of a very crucial thing. It has made us to realize that the most important thing what we have is the breath. So if you see the current situation of my country, people are fighting for the breath. They don't have oxygen. And the oxygen become a very essential quantity than having the goods or the money or the wealth in the life. And the yoga was emphasizing the same thing 5,000 years ago. So that's why the breathing techniques are there. So the thing is that pandemic being challenging, but it has taught us so many ways. So I think some of my personal experience, this is my subjective views. First is it has taught us what is the importance of the breath and why we have to work on the breath, because 4 to 5 minutes is the only time where the breath can also make us to die. Second part, The pandemic has challenged us to live in the kind of an isolation. Mostly we believe that we cannot be isolated, we cannot live in a single way. So this a pandemic has challenged us, and if somebody will use this kind of isolation in a positive way, he could be having a good time to meditate or to concentrate. And the third thing, what I believe the pandemic has done, it has stopped a kind of a non-essential run, what most of us were running for long years. We are trying to chase the thing. So this pandemic has also taught us that if we don't chase, the life is quite good. So these are the three the positive things what I got from the pandemic, and the rest are the people have their subjective experiences.
Very, very nice to think about. It was like a long, maybe, or it is like a long retreat to.
Yes, yeah, there's something like you said it right. It's a long kind of a yoga retreat.
Good. Okay, let's come back to the teaching, yoga teaching, and I would like to underline that you are already done with 45 yoga teacher trainings, and I would like to congratulate you for this work.
Thank you very much.
And in Cluj-Napoca, we have done 2 this kind of TTCs, and we are open for a new one coming this year. So I would like to tell you what makes to ask you again, Mukesh, what makes your yoga teaching method so unique?
You see that when I do the yoga teachers training, I focus only on a small section of this kind of the yoga where we deal with the physical practices more, because most of the people whom I basically acquainted in the yoga, they normally wanted a physical practice to bring the changes to the mind. So it can be also possible that many yoga teachers do their yoga teachers training where they focus on the mind and they come towards the physical body. So normally during the courses what I have taught, I focused on the physical part of the body. We work quite hard on that so that we can reach what is the limit, what is the potential of the body. And once we reach the potential of the body, it is very easy to access the mind. So therefore, if you ask me what is unique way of teaching in my yoga teachers training, I teach very intense physical practice. So that is going to make the body to align one more time. It is going to make you physically healthy. It is going to improve the breath. And once the body and the breath has improved, it is very easy to work with the mind and the state of the meditation. Along with this, we also bring the principles of the science of Ayurveda, where we also still with the kind of the science of Ayurveda, with a different point of view, we try to understand the physical body. So therefore, we mix these 2 parts as the base, and then we slowly build some chapters of the kind of the yoga philosophy from the Patanjali and the Hatha Yoga books, and a kind of a mild state of the kind of the concentration and the meditative techniques.
I am one of the many students grateful for introducing us to the beautiful universe of yoga. And now I would like to say some words, if you can share some words on what's your opinion on the science behind yoga. Some people understand better a concept when they understand the science behind it.
Usually when we talk about the science, we normally think about something which has been proved by the fact. Now the science, that's the meaning of the science. So normally the thing is that the science, if you ask a direct, like a kind of a scientific evidence on the yoga, you won't find it much more many. These are normally subjectively held. Like somebody says you that normally I feel afraid, and they are practicing this kind of the headstand for 3-4 months, and slowly they master this kind of the phobia. So the thing is that the science of the yoga cannot be told as a kind of the science of there's a medicine. We cannot compare it. But subjectively, if you will practice and you practice for 2 months, and suppose the people who don't have the benefit, they are going to stop it. But you have seen the most of the people, they are doing yoga for 10 years, 12 years or 14 years. So there is a science involved which brings the benefit. So the thing is, the yoga is a very scientific kind of the model, which talks on the 8 steps of this principle. So suppose the first 2 are much more kind of the philosophical, what we have to bring a daily changes in the life, like at what time we wake up, how much hard work we are able to put on, whether we are able whether we are able to live a life in a truthful way. So these are the physical kind of the principle. But if you see from the third way, where the science of the postures will start and the science of the breathing will start, you can see they are much more scientifically based than the remaining part of this yoga. Most of the people have also worked on the science of meditation. They have tried to prove how it is helpful in the case of anxiety or the kind of the panic. But still, it needs too much work to put a kind of a really scientific theory behind it. So basically, currently we have only one option. We have to experiment it firsthand. What is said by Patanjali, you experiment it firsthand. You have to doubt it. You have to go with a kind of a hypothesis that this practice is not good. You have to doubt it. And then that practice is going to prove whether your doubt is right or wrong. Because if you believe the yoga from the beginning as a science, if you say that if you practice Surya Namaskar and it's going to give you the benefit, most people won't do it. So the thing is that the yoga has a specific way of the science. They say you should not have a belief on it straight. You must have a doubt. And then to clear your doubt, you have to take the practice. And as you will practice, the practice is going to convince you that it's it's a kind of a pure scientific science, but it is not so proved like the most of the things. I think the main part is that it cannot be sold. So things that which cannot be sold, the science has not so much interest on it.
Yeah. I agree. Better to try it and to taste the feeling of yoga and to discover it. Yeah. Good. Coming back to the teaching of yoga and to our teacher training course, we are still preparing for this year. I would like to realize you, the dear listeners, the way of Mukesh teaching, the teaching method. It's highly skilled with humor, sense of humor. I know you, Mukesh, being a very fresh and spontaneous person, full of energy, and as a teacher, you are very open-minded and creative. So the question is, what do you think are the most important skills for a teacher to become a yoga teacher, a person?
Usually this is science of the humor, which I emphasize normally in the yoga teachers training. It is not from me. It was said by the Swami Shivananda that if you practice yoga and if the yoga is working on you, you are going to have a good sense of humor. Same thing, the book of the Hatha Yoga has told the same thing, but they didn't write this sense of humor. They write a kind of the symptom. What comes after the practice of the yoga, what is called cheerfulness. Now the thing is that yoga is a painful science. It is extremely true. When you start in the beginning, it is painful. It is, you feel the pain in the muscles, you feel the pain in the arms and the legs, and when on the next day you are going to wake up, you will have a pain still in the body. The thing is that once you have done the 4 rounds of the Surya Namaskar, that pain would be gone. So therefore, just to compensate that pain and to make the yoga class not to like kind of the boot camp, that's why the sense of the humor is used, because it helps the people to understand the things much more better, to form a good kind of the bonding. And the thing is that the laugh is also good, especially before these difficult postures.
That's true. Yes, I've experienced it. Good. So the teacher training in Cluj-Napoca will start in July. So are you willing to tell us more about what are you planning? What will be the landscape of it?
You see, due to these pandemic rules and that it is extremely unpredictable, things can happen. So therefore, this course is much more done in a much more faster way, where the days are much more longer. On a one weekend, we are not using a simple weekend as we did before. We are normally weekend compilation of 4 or 5 days, so that we can finish this course in the four meetings. The thing is that 4 or 5 days, why I used it, because like, for example, most of the time, sometimes I teach very intensive courses, like where we do 22 days back to back. And the thing is that when you do something very intensive in the yoga, it brings the things much more faster. So one of the unique things with this course is that it is much more compressed, like into the number of days. So where we are going to practice 4 to 5 days at once. So you are going to master one segment much more easily. Normally, what happens in the most of the yoga teachers training when we do only kind of the Saturday, Sunday. So, for example, the 1 month will be done in July, and then when the teachers comes back in August after a month, the most of the concept has been gone because the students don't have a time to revise or to practice. So in this yoga teachers training, two things are important. One, the intensity of the course, which will help to improve. And secondly, you are also connected with the kind of the regular weekly online yoga practice so that the postures can be improved. And those students who have a doubt with the kind of the online yoga practice, we have done already four yoga TTCs since COVID on this online, where the 90% students have mastered the inversion postures, like the headstands or the forearm stands, only with the online. And what I have observed, if the student is given a kind of a regular practice, like on a weekly basis or 2 times on a week, that his practice will be much more solid and which will be much more grounded than to have only just an offline course once in a month. So these are the two important things. One more time, I'm going to concise them. One is the intensity of the practice during these days so that the course can finish on time, and we want to make the course as much offline as we want. Secondly, there is a weekly 1 or 2 classes you can join to continue the practice what we learn on those weekends.
Good, super. I'm going to take this opportunity now to heartily invite you all to practice yoga first, and then to practice yoga with Mukesh, because you will discover yourself, you will tap into your hidden potential, and you will find out new ways of seeing yourself and your life. I've been through his lesson and I'm still enjoying them. So it's fascinating to see your energy, Mukesh, to make us do the portion and make us do the things, and give us that strength, the confidence, the courage to dare for more. So now I would like to ask you, please tell some words to the new yoga teachers. What would be your advice?
You see, during this COVID time, so many times a student asked me that what should be the strategy for them, especially these new teachers who have not so much experience because of COVID has come. My advice is still same, that if you have a job, you have to keep your own job, and you have to experiment 1 or 2 classes a week, at least in the beginning. You keep on teaching it offline or online, it depends on you. If you teach more than that in the beginning, you have a chances of getting to be burned out, because you cannot manage your full job, family, and these 2 classes, which almost need there's a lot of work. So this is my thing. If somebody is a new teacher, you just start with 1 or 2 yoga classes, and do not expect a kind of a bigger change. Because of the COVID, most people won't come to studios so easily. The number will be much more less than the pre-COVID. And the secondly thing is that this is the part which is about the COVID, but there is also one more kind of the positive part. Since COVID, the people have becoming much more conscious about their health, which they were never before. So the COVID has pushed the people to learn how to breathe, how to make the lungs healthy, how to lose the weight. So I think the yoga has an extremely bright future in the coming months or in this coming years. So they should stay optimist. For time being, you won't get such a big number of the kind of the students what you see on the normal yoga classes or on the Facebook photos. And some of you have become this yoga teacher with a kind of a dream that one day you will teach 30-40 students at once. So that dream will come true, but it will come much more faster. Just we have to wait that this COVID has to be raised out, or it has to be minimized.
Yeah. Good, thank you. So now at the end, Mukesh, we would like to let you some words, free words to set your message into the world, how to contribute to this world to make a better place, how to unite, or anything for a new person who would like maybe to start yoga.
You see, I cannot advise the world what they should do or not, because this is that each and every man has his own way and they know what is good for them. But if you ask me on the terms of the yoga, I think if we do 20 minutes of this kind of, if we do 20 minutes of the regular breathing exercise each and every day, and we try to avoid become sick, so that the load on the hospitals and the health worker can be low. So this is the best contribution what we can do, because at 20 or 30 minutes of a regular breathing exercise can help to improve the kind of the lungs health and the capacity of the lungs, that even if you get infected in the COVID, the chances of the recovery are much more easy than not to do at all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, for having you here today. And thank you it was an honor to have you today for the first episode. And thank you so much to all listeners. I hope this work will be inspiring for you for yoga and take yoga also behind the mat. And it was our service to the community and the labor of work, of love. For more details, you can contact our teacher to his website, bindusaryoga.com. And you can also check details about the yoga teacher trainings on his website, Facebook page, and also on my Facebook page, Yoga with Daniela. Thank you so much, Mukesh. Have a wonderful day and life.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.